That moment you discover that it seems you somehow have fallen in love with a narcissist often feels more like being slapped in the face or getting sucker punched in the gut, more so than receiving a wake-up call, so to speak, because, well, let's face it, coming to terms with this realization in and of itself is one SOB of a pill for anyone to have to swallow. There's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, becoming awoken or managing to get this pill down the hatch, despite the fact that at times you can still feel the lump it created in your throat going down, is not anywhere close to the end of it. So then, now what? Now, what exactly are you supposed to do? Well, that is what we are about to break down and go through with a fine-tooth comb and in great detail. But before we begin, the one thing you need to do your best at remembering, like legit, go write this shit down, then write it 100 more times. And if you still feel that it hasn't entirely sunken in, go right ahead, tape that shit to every wall in your house, staple it to the inside door of every cabinet, glue it to your steering wheel, and probably wise to go ahead and just stick a copy in your wallet for good measure. Like, for reals, I am being serious. Whatever it takes to make it fully register that you are no more of a fool than you are foolish getting deceived by one of these demonic, soul-sucking bedbugs. Nor is this your fault. You did not ask for this. And if you had known you were being duped into crossing over the threshold into the gates of hell, lured in by the devil, who has deluded themselves into thinking that they are God, gallivanting about cloaked in their saintly, likable human and mask to con others into thinking they are something to that of an entirely different beast than what they in fact are, so they could selfishly take advantage of you and use you of a source to supply the lifeblood necessary in order to keep their delusions alive. You would not as much as given them your name, let alone invest your life, love, time, or energy into them at all. And it is imperative to do your best at consciously trying to catch yourself from repeatedly going down this rabbit hole of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, what ifs, if onlys. If it had been a snake, it had bit me in my asses. Because the only place that rabbit hole is ever going to get you is a whole lot of nowhere, except for unnecessarily beating yourself up over something that was completely out of your control. In essence, set yourself up for the never-ending quest, finding some alternative explanation or solution to why they are the way that they are, hung up in the whirlwind of torment that had you been smarter, more observant, less naive, more confident, or didn't wear your heart on your sleeve, that perhaps you wouldn't be in this situation. Because at the end of the day, that helps you all of nada and changes none. Because what has been done is done. There's no going back in the past for a do-over. It is no more than another way that we come up with in efforts to avoid having to come fully face-to-face, staring dead in the eyes, the brutal, horrific reality of it all in its entirety. Which not only do I totally get, but, well, I'll be the first to admit, I did the same damn thing myself for far, far, far too long. Even after, deep down, I knew. The bottom line, the long and short of it, is this. You didn't know. Period. End of story. Except that it's not. Not even close. Because if it were that easy, those rabbit holes wouldn't be there to toy with your mind and tempt one to going down. Nor would I be making this video on, so now, just what in the fuck are we supposed to do? There are many reasons why, but the biggest one of all that we often, including myself, tend to overlook is, to put it as plainest and simplest terms, merely that we are human. And one of the things that we humans all spend a better part of our life doing, trying to find solutions, seeking out explanations to the endless amount of whys and questions that we are faced with day in and day out. From trying to understand our own behaviors or why we reacted the way we did to something, down to why is the sky blue? Water? not feel wet when you're in it. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? Our innate drive to want to understand and make sense of things, to maintain a sense of balance, more often than not, serves as not only a valuable motivational tool, but is helpful and important in our survival and how we go about functioning day to day. However, in certain situations, like why a narcissist acts, says, does, thinks, or behaves in such a way, can be about as beneficial of a service as it would to try to elevate your voice's volume level, get a deaf person to hear you, because it can literally be as futile as it is maddening. Easily cause one to become trapped in the never-ending struggle of rumination, guilt, shame, or strung up in wanting to save them, and or that there must be something, some way, somehow that you can come up with, fix, change, and make for a better relationship. And the longer you spend spinning in this sea of unanswered questions, the more drained and emotionally spent you become, which is the last thing that anyone needs. Is going to help a damn thing in figuring out now just what in the hell you're supposed to do. I can sit here and tell you to snip out all the whys, questions you're seeking a solution or to answer so that you can come up with a plan, and tell you that the only way to truly avoid going down the what if only, ass-biting, snake-filled rabbit holes is to literally stop trying to understand why this happened to you, how it is even humanly possible for someone to do what they did. Rather, just look at the factual standpoint that it did. But that doesn't really help you either, because another thing we as humans all tend to do is when told not think about something, we go ahead and think about it more. Now, granted, in time, like anything in life, this too shall pass, and you will eventually come to that point where enough is enough, because people can only take so much. But in the knowing how long this process can take and how agonizingly painful trying to find answers to the whys pertaining to narcissist can be, the best way to truly be able to help you, potentially be able to spare you from at least a little bit of the pain by shortening the time that this process to find the answers takes, is to help finding a solution and coming up with an answer to your whys, and going through step by step how to navigate your way through this realization, out from underneath their grasp, ways to rebuild your confidence and ultimately get back your life. Which there are some things that I learned from going through this experience myself that I feel are valuable and worth a shot in sharing to see if they'll help, as well as things that I learned through seeking out and trying to find answers to my own whys that I've lined up to go over during this series of videos of, so then now what do I do? But honestly, the best way to offer you as much help as possible is if it's your whys, how comes, and what the fucks getting answered, as those are the whys and ones that will inevitably be what gets you the most hung up. So as far as step one goes in now, what am I supposed to do, is to think of one of your whys or questions that you find yourself repeatedly going back to, revisiting, or have a hard time moving on from. And though I cannot promise you with 100% certainty that I'm going to have the best answer, but I can tell you that together we will do our best to come up with some kind of solution to at least put a start in being able to put that question to rest so that you can move on and get past it. So leave your question or whys in the comments below. I can tie these in and touch base with them throughout these series of videos. And do not think for 1 second that anything that you come up with is a stupid question or be embarrassed to ask it, because personally, as far as I'm concerned, such a question does not exist when we are dealing with these Looney Tunes. Quite frankly, will probably surprise you at how many people have the exact same question pondering and plaguing their mind as well. Remember, you're worth and deserve so much more. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist.